listening to the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and rewards. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Today's episode features Tammi G, a member of my local Miles and Points group who has recently started with Miles and Points thanks to the group. She'll talk about getting started with Miles and Points and recount some of the wins she has experienced in just 6 months. Before today's discussion, some quick show notes. I host monthly in-person meetups in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania with the group Greater Philadelphia Travel, Credit, Miles, and Points. Find more information at meetup.com/Philly, Miles, and Points. I'll also be speaking at the upcoming conference Zorkfest, discussed in the previous podcast episode, which will include social events and sessions educating about points, miles, and gambling. Find more information at zorkfest.com. That's ZORKFEST.com. Finally, today's episode is recorded with a new microphone setup, largely thanks to credits with Dell from American Express Business Platinum cards. Please leave feedback about the audio quality in the comment section of this episode. Now, on with today's episode with special guest Tammi G. All right, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate the fact that you invited me to join you today.
Excellent. We met a few months ago at the first meetup for Greater Philadelphia Travel, Credit, Miles, and Points, a meetup I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. I didn't know you before that, but you happened to see the group on meetup.com. What led you to attend?
So you're right, I did. So Meetup does this really cool thing where they send you invitations to things that you have an interest in. And I already had a specific interest in travel. I have my own travel group for women who don't have people to travel with. So yours came up as a suggestion, and it intrigued me because I thought prior to meeting you that I knew how to travel with points, but you kind of like blew my mind the first time I met you.
And what was that experience like for the first meetup?
Well, everyone was super friendly. I was surprised at how willing people were to share strategies, even for somebody new like me. So I thought that I had the game, right? So I would go and I would put all of my personal expenses on my American Airlines card, and then I would put all of my business expenses on my Marriott card. And at the time, I was just like super happy to be able to get free flights for my vacations and get a free Marriott night at the hotel the night before. And I thought I was rocking points. and then I came to your meetup and literally my mind was blown. And the thing that was so nice about it is people were so willing to share with somebody like me who didn't know what I didn't know. It was so refreshing. And yeah, everyone was just so nice. So nice.
Yeah, I had this presentation where I was talking about, okay, hey, you can sign up for multiple credit cards. You can use these different programs, these different apps. So I did say, yes, this is going to be a lot of information, but here are some things that you might be able to take action on that will work for your situation.
Exactly. And you gave us something for everybody. So from the beginner like me, who had no idea what I was stepping into that day, to the people that were in the group that seemed super experienced, they were all sharing ideas of new things that they were learning. Because one thing that I've learned in the short 6 months that I've been involved is that the game is constantly changing, constantly. So it's just nice to be involved with a group of people that share information so willingly.
I think you said something early on that, well, I thought there might have been a better way to earn points rather than just using the same old cards, that maybe you saw some articles online, you saw some mentions on Facebook, but it wasn't until you went to the group that you decided to change your strategy by getting more cards and doing other things.
Yeah, it wasn't clicking. So I was like, well, I already have a card. I'm good. Because again, I knew Chase offered points, but I thought I could only use them in the portal. I didn't realize that they had transfer partners, that I could transfer the points, and that there were so many transfer partners. So there was just like, it just never clicked. that I wasn't strategically spending my money in a way that got me the thing that I love most. Because I don't like spending money on a lot of things. So I spend money on travel, but having come to your group, I realize now that the things that I do spend money on every day can actually help me to get more money towards my travel, which is ultimately the only reason why I work, is to have a basic roof over my head and be able to travel. That's the whole thing.
Yes, and you have business expenses, as you mentioned, which really helps. Some people that get into this hobby are a little bit intimidated that, oh, I don't know how I'm going to spend 3,000, 4,000 in 3 months when I get a new card to hit a welcome offer. But for you, that's been pretty easy.
It has been, but if people really take time and think about it, they don't realize how much spend they have that they don't think about. I mean, some people just the amount of money they spend on Starbucks
Yeah.
in a month, right? So yeah, so I think a lot of it is that people think that they don't have big expenses. So they're like, oh, well, I can't meet $3,000 because I don't have a big expense coming up, or because I don't have a business where I have big expenses. But if you sat down and thought about how much money you actually spend on groceries, or if you have children, how much all the things that they do cost. If you sit down and really think about it, it's not hard to come up with $1,000 a month that you can put on a credit card that you're spending cash for anyway. So then you can pay it off every month, right? Because that's the most important thing, is not overspending and making sure that you can pay it
And
off.
things like auto insurance, maybe some home repairs, dental work. So just, yeah, just sitting down and thinking about it. I think most people will be able to do it every few months getting a new card.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that I didn't really think about is your car insurance, that a lot of people, just because it's quote unquote easier, they'll just have it on a monthly renewal. But you can prepay your car insurance if you need to meet spend, which that was one of the things that somebody at the meetup had said as one of the strategies that they do, is they prepay things that they know they're going to have to pay anyway.
So I was persuasive. I convinced you sign up for a new card, and I believe one of the first
You
cards you got
did.
was with Chase. So were you skeptical at first about this? Like, how long did it take you to make that decision? What was that process like?
I wasn't skeptical about the process per se. I was skeptical about the end game. So I couldn't figure out what everybody's end game was. Like, I was like, somebody's going to try and sell me something, right? That's a, so the whole time I was sitting there, I was like, okay, so what is the deal? And I think you probably remember I asked you that then. I was like, okay, so what do you get out of this? What do you need me to do? Why are you're not just giving me this stuff for free? So that this information for free. And so that's where it was kind of like skeptical for me, not about the credit card process per se, but just how open and everyone was, like that was so refreshing. But yeah, I immediately went home and applied for the card. Like there was, like I said, my mind was so blown that day that I was hook, line, and sinker. Just show me the way, Justin. Just show me the way. I'm gonna what? Although I did. We'll get to. I guess we'll probably talk about this later. But I did make some mistakes in the beginning.
Yep.
But because I was too excited.
Well, better than doing nothing, probably. But yeah, I started the group as a civic organization so people can come together and talk about what's going on around
Yeah,
them.
and you're doing it like a
Yeah,
nonprofit, which
yeah.
I think is great. Yeah, so that's awesome.
It's a lot of mutual benefit as people will share their data points, they'll share their information, and we all learn from one another. And maybe we get some referral bonuses here or there, or a tip that I get from someone else will be very actionable on my end. As I've learned a lot through other people in this, it's very difficult to just do this all on your own.
Yeah, and I was like really skeptical about American Express too. So if I think about, yes, was I skeptical about some things? Yes, because American Express, I was skeptical about because of the first of all, it's a mindset thing. Like, oh, well, I'm not really sure that I would qualify to have an American Express because when, in my younger days, it was like you had to be of a certain caliber to have an American Express
Mm.
Gold card, or so I thought, right? So I didn't even think like that was an option for me. I thought, oh, they're going to look at me as American Express and be like, yeah, maybe on their best day, not. um, but I was surprised at how easy the American Express card was to get. So I was a little bit skeptical about American Express, but now that's like one of my favorite cards. My American Express Gold card and my brand new Platinum card are like my favorites, and I shied away from the platinum because of the annual fee.
Oh, the
But
business platinum for listeners, right? Yeah.
yeah. I was afraid of that because of the annual fee. But, now having learned more about the card, I realized that I can recoup almost all of that money.
Yes, and you got the
So
really high welcome offer on the business platinum as well.
I did. I did.
And I think you're
Yeah. So
probably currently wearing a Dell smartwatch that you got, or a smartwatch you got from Dell.
uh, I am. Yes, my very first Garmin smartwatch. It reminds me to drink my water and get up and move my body, which I'm not accustomed to.
The the extra benefits of the hobby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's actually been very helpful. I've been wearing it about a week, and I think I've moved more and drank more than I have probably in the last 3 months. But yeah,
Yeah,
it gives me a nice little reminder to move.
yeah, I usually don't recommend business platinum to people just starting out, but you had a really big expense coming up, and the
I
offer was out
did.
there for I think 150,000, or maybe you got it even higher than that, and it really made sense to do that. And yes, will you use the Dell credits to offset the annual fee? Will you use the airline credits to offset? Well, that's an easy decision. So year one, definitely easy with that, but then in year two, we'll reconsider whether it's worth paying the annual fee the second time.
But yeah, I am pretty fortunate with some of the spend that I come across.
And how has miles and points helped you so far? Did you take or book any trips yet? A lot of people hear like, oh, the points sound great. It sounds theoretically interesting, but I believe you were able to pull the trigger and travel with miles and points so far.
The thing I'm most excited about, and it came as a tip from someone at the meetup. So I'm going to Greece in April of next year, 2024. And in April of 2023, they at the meetup that I was at, one of the members said to me, "Well, you need to go look at Emirates, and you need to look when they very first released their tickets." And I was able to score a business lie flat seat that I've never had that. Like,
Nice.
I'm always like economy. Even when I had points, right? When I was traveling on my American Airlines with points, I never had enough points to fly first class. And so this is like a big switch for me. And I even have enough points to fly first class on Emirates, which gets you that like private little suite
Hmm.
room. But I'm not going to do that this time. I still want to save my points, so I have points for other things. But at least I had, it's fun to know that I had enough points that I could do that if I wanted to, and that I wasn't sequestered back to economy for a long flight.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about the hobby. Not only is the travel free or close to it in many cases, but we're able to travel in better accommodations, whether it's better hotel rooms, we get complimentary room upgrades, or we just use the points for better accommodations, or for flights in business class, getting the seat upgrades with certain statuses, certain benefits, using the airport lounges. So lots of benefits to be had to make the experience better.
And even like even recently, I just got my American Airlines, which I'm not using anymore, but apparently I used it enough in the last year that I got upgraded to like their next level. So I got extra luggage
Hmm.
and advanced boarding, and so it's all those like little perk things that make you just feel a little special.
Yeah, and the luggage easily saving maybe $35, $40 one way, $80 on a round trip. So
Yeah,
the little wins are pretty good. And that was from spend that you were just putting on the card anyway.
right, right. Yep.
So it's
Hmm.
you didn't have to take this Herculean effort to get that kind of benefit.
No, no, just everyday spend for that. I mean, the flight to Greece, that was extra because of my business expenses, but yeah, I was gonna say it just all comes down to strategy.
This is a question from a listener, Carla, who asks, "How have you changed your behavior as a consumer since finding the hobby?"
Oh, that is a great question. So I have really started to analyze when I'm making a purchase, where can I get the best points,
Hmm.
right? So like if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going out to dinner, I make sure I use my American Express, gold card. If I'm going to Staples, I go make sure that I'm using my Chase business cash card because of the number of points.
Hmm.
I started using Rakuten, right? So before I
Oh, that's a
I
shopping
make a
portal for
purchase.
listeners. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. So, and you get extra points for shopping the same things that you shop all the time. So I was always stay away from the shopping portals, even though the little things would like pop up on my computer. I just be like, can't be bothered. But now I realize like a lot of times I'm not only am I getting money back, but I'm also getting points, and I'm doing a little bit of advanced stuff with like stacking things, because if I buy through Rakuten and I use one card, I get points, and then through, this sounds a little more complicated, but then through Rakuten you can get American Express points too.
Yep.
That's a little bit of an advanced thing. So that's one of the ways that I've really changed my shopping habits. And I pay a lot more attention to the grocery store ads too. Just because you taught me about gas points, and I don't think I've paid for full price for gas since February
Nice.
of this last year.
Yeah.
Of this last year.
Yeah, that's a big one right there.
So yeah. So that was super helpful. And like this last week, I never paid attention to like at Acme, or not Acme, Weiss, right?
Yep.
Never paid attention to Weiss other than at Christmas and Thanksgiving when I got a free turkey. The rest of the time I wasn't even paying attention to the points that I got when I went there. And then you're like, well, what about the eggs, Tammi? What about the milk? What about this? You get this free. You get this for 99 cents. And right now there's three 18 count carton of eggs sitting in my refrigerator that
America
I need to
loves
figure
math.
out something to do, right?
Eggs and bags.
that I got for $3.
Yeah.
Right? Where do you get 18 count eggs for $3?
Yeah.
Right? So even that's money that I can put towards something else.
Yeah, the price was at, I think, like $6 or $7 for 18 count eggs a few weeks or maybe months ago. But even now, just getting them for $1 is still a good deal when you're just buying gift cards at Weiss, getting 4X on the Amex Personal Gold Card, and then just uploading the cards on Amazon, or getting into more of the advanced plays that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, so it is really funny how my shopping has definitely changed, and also like strategizing when I'm going to make big purchases too.
Yeah.
So like I strategized because I wanted to buy a new garage door. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do that until I can qualify for a new card for a sign-up bonus, and then I can put the garage door on for the sign-up bonus. And I made sure the garage door company would take credit card first, because some of the home improvement places won't allow you to do that kind of stuff. But I got, when you were saying like, what are some ways that you met your spend? It was like, I got a garage door. I painted the shutters on my house. I got some new windows because somebody shot a BB through my window. And so I used that to meet spend. And my daughter's getting married, and there's all kinds of expenses with that, plus my travel business.
Oh, good. And have you made deals or negotiations with others saying things like, hey, could you just put this spend on my card and give me the cash?
Well, that happens a lot in the meetup that I have, because we go out to dinner a lot. And so at dinner, I'll be like, okay, everybody bring cash. And then I will, pay for the thing with my American Express card, and I get 4 points. And so, so I do it that way. And then I do a lot of purchases for my mom and my daughter where, they used to buy their own stuff, and I'd be like, oh no, I'll go pick that up for you. Not a problem.
Oh, okay,
that
good.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. So little things here and there, but it adds up, especially for people who don't have a home, don't have kids. That's a common concern. How am I going to reach them in spend? So we can find creative ways to do that. And I know one creative thing, I've been talking a lot about the mobile casino apps with My Vegas, Win Slots, Wind Creek Casino Verse. So you got into this crazy phone farm recently. Can you tell listeners about the phone farm, the battle stations?
Yes. So it's something I never thought that I would be involved in, because I'm not a big gamer and I don't play games on my phone. But you started talking about how I could get free hotel nights, or how I could get buy one, get one dinners in Las Vegas. And the big one for me was when you said about a cruise. Like, I was like, wait, what? I can get a cruise? And so I started playing the games, and I was just using my one phone, and I was getting annoyed because it took a lot of time. Not a lot of time, but like I had to keep thinking about it. So then you're like, yeah, but don't you have any old phones laying around? And I was like, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. So I got those phones out of the closet and I charged them. And then I bought one other phone off of Home Shopping
Yeah,
Network.
HSN Online. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a great deal on that. So now I have a Google phone because I didn't have a Google phone because some of the apps work better on the Google phone
Yeah,
on the
Android,
Android
yep.
than they do, yeah, than they did on my Apple. So yeah, so now I have a table in my living room that
Nice.
just has like this phone sitting on it with their charger, and I get up in the morning and I start all each one has like a little I put like a little sticky thing on the box so I know which game I play on that phone. Might be a little too overkill, but
That's all right.
um it works for my brain, you know? And then I start each of the games because some of them you just have to start them and sit there. I thought you had to actually play them
Oh,
and
not at
tap them,
all. It's play in like
and you
air
don't.
quotes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you just like open the app and you let it sit there for an hour. Next thing you know, at the end of the month, you've got like 1,000,000 points. You're 1/5 of the way towards a potential free cruise.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of being open-minded, which I think that I'm open-minded, and then something like that comes along and I realize, wow, I was kind of closed-minded about that. And I was really glad that I listen, it took me a little bit to catch on and be like, oh, wait a sec. Because even just like yesterday, when I was talking to you at the meetup we had yesterday with my Konami, I've been fighting against that one and saying I didn't like it. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, there's just a button there that you click and you watch video, and every time, 40 points goes into your thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was
And
so
you're not even really
easy.
watching the video either. You just like walk
No, not
away,
watching the
come back a
video at
few minutes
all.
later,
So
whatever.
like while I'm on a conference call, I just push the button and let the video play. It's not like it's not like you have to concentrate on it.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I'm going to Atlantic City in October, and I'm looking forward to getting my Borgata free parking, maybe getting some food,
Yep.
that
The
kind of
free
stuff.
night
So
if it's during the week.
yeah, free night. Yep.
Yeah, the cruise is a lofty
So
goal. Some people might think like, oh, 5 million, that's going to take me 5 months, whatever. They might not want to do that, but the rewards come much earlier for maybe it's like 75,000 or 100,000 for that Borgata night. So it's very easy to get that.
I've met a lot of people who, when they know that I strategize on free travel, that's one of the things they ask me is how do you get a free cruise? And I'm like, well, guess what? There is actually a way that you could qualify for a free cruise. So there are people out there that are willing to do that, and that piques their interest. And we just have to find one thing that piques their interest, you know?
Yeah, because I present a lot
And
of information. I
you
don't expect
do.
people are just going to get into poker, for example, and I usually don't recommend
Yeah.
poker. But one thing I have been recommending, and we sat together and did it the other day, is blackjack. So how's that been going?
Another thing that I was like, no, not doing that. No, when I first met you, I was like, oh no. But I had a lot of fun with it yesterday. I really did. I had a good time. I had gone to Staples because Staples was having an offer on their gift cards, and I purchased a stack of the gift cards, and we actually converted it all back to cash that's going to go back into my checking
Yeah.
account, which was really cool. And I had fun playing,
Yeah.
you know?
It was the
So,
fee-free MasterCard gift cards, and then you were getting 5 times points with your Chase Ink Cash business card.
right,
So even
right.
suffering the 0.5% house edge in the long run, you're still up quite a big deal on the acquisition side. And signing up for some of these sites, you got some welcome offers as well.
Yeah, exactly. And in the beginning, like you said, it was a lot of information. So I had to take my time and process the baby steps that made sense to me at the time. And then as I gained more experience and in what I was doing, then I started to be like a little bit more open to trying some of the other things. But I'm really glad we sat down and did that yesterday. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
you took some
A lot of
time
fun.
to learn basic strategy using a trainer app, a chart, and you've practiced a lot on your own. So when you met me in person, you were mostly right about a lot of the decisions. It was just learning the software and just sitting and like interpreting the chart. And you didn't misclick once, so it was it was very good.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you took the time to say you need to practice first
Yeah,
without real money,
yeah, of
right?
course.
Just practice. And you checked in with me and you're like, how are you doing? What's your percentages, And I just thought that was really good. You're not like, oh, here, just go do this. You literally walked me through step by step on how to be successful at
Yeah,
it.
I said don't gamble at all until you've used the app to
You
a
did.
sufficient level, and we're gonna start
Yep.
small. We did like $5 bets, and then eventually like we increased it to save some time. But it was
Yeah.
a good
Yeah,
first few
because
sessions.
we could
Oh
have been
yeah,
there
I
all
mean yeah, if we're
day.
gonna sit and like bet $1 a time, that's gonna take a long time to go through it. Ugh.
No, it was good. It was fun.
An interesting thing I've been doing, maybe some listeners hadn't considered, and I didn't mention it in the previous videos. This is relatively new. I have a checking account with Juno, Juno, that's giving a 5% APY yield in a checking account, so that we're using credit to obtain these prepaid cards. Running the prepaid cards through the blackjack games, I can have that money withdrawn and earning money while it's sitting there because I don't have to pay these credit cards back until the due dates. You get the 30-day grace period, and depending on when that charge comes in, you might even have something like 59 days before you have to repay that money. So it's a more advanced play there, so you can earn additional money on top of it to help offset some of that house edge.
Yeah, that'll be my next step.
Yeah, and you have signed up for some bank accounts, right?
I did. So I like signed up for the Chase one and got some free money, which was another thing that didn't really think about. I learned this at the meetup. I think it might have been my first one, maybe my second. I don't remember, but it was another light bulb moment
Yeah, could you
because I
explain
would
that
all
to
the time,
listeners, the checking account
yeah,
bonus?
yep, I would always get these things in the mail that said switch your checking account, get a $500 bonus after do a direct deposit. And I would always throw them in the trash because I was like, I don't want to go through the hassle of moving all of my stuff to another bank. And then Justin said to me, you don't have to do that.
Yep, yep.
All you have to do is make the minimum deposit and then go into your payroll, company's payroll, and divert some of your direct deposit from your regular checking into your regular checking account, divert it into this new checking account. And I was like, oh, Justin, my employer makes me write a check and and you said to me, have you looked at it lately? And I was like, well, quite honestly, no, I haven't. And you said, go look at it because I bet you can change it online.
Yep.
And sure enough, I I could. So I ended up getting a $900 Chase bonus by making a small deposit in a checking account that I had to leave there for 90 days and make a $500 over the course of 90-day direct deposit
Yeah.
from my payroll. And then I had to put a larger amount in a savings account. And by doing both of them, it took the bonus from $600 to $900.
Nice.
And then I just moved it out. So
Yep.
I mean, it didn't cost me anything, and I got $900.
Yeah, really easy. So some might not have the bigger capital to park there, but you can definitely do something that works for you, listeners. Maybe it's just the direct moving the direct deposit of $500 or more from your
Mm-hmm.
employer or however else you're getting paid. So even if you pick up say 300 or 400, I think that's still a very easy win. Was it very easy to sign up for the checking account online and move that?
It was super easy, super easy. And Chase was actually very helpful too. So
Yeah,
they were,
yeah, the
yeah,
banks are hoping to have us sign up for other things, or they're hoping we make mistakes so they could charge us fees, or we're going to whale out and overspend. But of course, we're being very disciplined about that. Just because we have lines of credit in all these different accounts doesn't mean that we're just going to go out and buy all this stuff.
right. This is not a stuff business. This you do this for travel. Like I said, I'm not a stuff person. So just making sure that I'm only spending it on things that I need or ways that I can transfer the money back into cash.
Yes, like you mentioned about the gas points, so you got into some of the gift card deals with that. So that was a creative way to spend to buy gift cards and then later essentially get cash for those gift cards through reselling or maybe through some personal use where you're doing things a little bit differently. Like, oh, well, look, there's a 5X deal and I could buy Amazon gift cards. I know I'm going to buy stuff on Amazon. So why not use the Amex Gold 4X? I get the 5X grocery rewards. That's worth more than 5% for gas and just shift things a little bit that way.
Yeah, that was another thing that you really blew my mind about because I couldn't wrap my head around why somebody would buy $100 Apple gift card, sell it to somebody for 90%. Like I was like that, why would I buy a gift card for $100 and only get 90 on it? And again, you said, Tammy, America loves math, and I'm not a math person. I need somebody else to do the math and explain to me why it makes sense. But I did it. And the first time I was like, I think it cost me $40, but I got almost $220 worth of gas.
After selling multiple cards, yeah.
After selling multiple cards.
Yep.
And so that like totally changed my mind too. But I didn't understand it because nobody explained the math to me of why that made sense to do it. So I just heard about people who bought gift cards and resold them. But to me, I was like, well, that's just stupid. Why would I spend $100 to get 90? I never factored in the points and what I was getting for the points.
Yeah, because we're not just going to outright buy it and get nothing as a rebate, but since we're getting the rebate in gas points, we're getting the rebate in groceries, whatever it happens to be, the rebate happens to offset the loss on the card. So yes, if we sell the $100 card for 90 and we're getting 15 back with some sort of rebate or statement credit, whatever it is, then there's an arbitrage opportunity there. So we're ahead.
Yep. Again, you just have to be open-minded and listen.
Yep. And not everybody's going to do all these advanced plays. I usually tell people, hey, just start small and then see what you want to add on in the future if you want to do more. There are people, believe it or not, who are doing more things than I am. And I'm, of course, doing some more things than other people are. So it's starting small and building up whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and you teach me something, and then whenever I come back to you and say I'm ready to learn something else, then you have another play that you show me. So this has been like 6 months in the making, and I know that I have so much more to learn. That's why I keep coming back to see you.
Yeah, and we have a lot of fun at the meetups too. It's a good group of people.
We do. It is really a good group of people. And what I'm hoping at some point in time, when the group gets bigger and you have more new people coming in, that I'll be able to share some knowledge.
Oh, well, you're doing that right now.
Right? Because I like to share and I like to teach and I like to help. My mom tells me I'm a fixer.
Yep.
So when I get a lot of people that come to me and say, "Oh, I love all the trips that you plan, but I can't afford to go." Or I can't afford to fly, buy the plane ticket. And so it's going to be nice to be able to bring them into the fold of your group and say, well, I have another group that can help you figure that piece out.
Yeah. So. And unfortunately, a lot of people are resistant to doing any of this. Like when I first had this knowledge and I contacted some friends, some people that trusted me on other things, and I'd explain it to them and I'd hear everything like, oh, I don't know if that's worth the effort, or oh, I don't know, I don't want my perfect credit score to go down by 2 points. That doesn't really matter. And all these other objections that I would hear from people. Not everybody wants to play ball. So what do you have to say to some of these negative things that people have to say?
So one of the things somebody said to me is like, oh my gosh, I was talking about like, oh yeah, I got this card and I got this card and I got this card. And they're like, oh my gosh, your credit score is going to plummet. And I was like, well, actually my credit score went up, which I thought was really weird, but it did. I mean, my credit score went up like 25 points. I was already in the high 700s.
Yep.
And I thought I was really going to take a hit. Now everybody's different and it depends on a lot of things go into it, but I was lucky that my score went up. And even if it does take a dip, it goes back up really, really fast. So that to me is that's a non-issue. You just have to, if you have a high 700 score, dropping a couple of points isn't going to hurt you. And then for like people saying, oh, that seems like it takes a lot of time or whatever. One of the examples I use is like, well, it takes you a lot of work time.
Yep.
To get the money to travel. So if someone has a job where they're making $20 an hour, figure out how many hours you would have to need to work to buy a plane ticket. And then I can probably tell you, oh, well, I maybe spend, 2 to 3 hours a week and I get to travel for free all the time. So it's time for money kind of thing. But it's funny how a lot of people are willing to work the extra hours, but not willing to work the extra time on themselves. So you just have to kind of like just do a mind shift about where you are financially and what are ways that you can tweak your lifestyle to just work better. It's just about strategy.
Yeah, and we're skipping some things that seem marginal. Like I could be driving and it's like, oh, well, it's a 15-minute detour to go to CVS and there's a gift card deal there and maybe I make like $3. Well, that's not going to make sense to do that. But when I see the bigger
Right.
deals, I want to target the bigger deals. So I often mention to people the checking account bonuses, the credit card welcome offers are usually the bigger things to start with. So try to pick the things that give you a good return on time for sure. And I wonder about people that just are mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or TikTok, or they're just like browsing Netflix for an hour and they haven't even watched anything. It's like, well, maybe you could be a bit more productive with that time. Now, of course, have your hobbies, have your entertainment. But if you're going to be complaining about, oh, I'm broke, oh, travel's too expensive, I can't do this or that, well, actually, there's a way to get out of that. You actually can travel at low cost. It doesn't take ultra intelligence or aptitude, whatever, to do this. I think it's very approachable for so many people.
Yeah, you just have to pause and be open-minded. So one of my like life mantras is if you never look at anything, you never find anything. And so it's kind of that like when I came to your first meetup, I didn't know what I was going to find, but I knew if I didn't come and listen to what you had to say, I wasn't going to find anything. And it turned out that it was a gold mine what I found that day, right? So I think people just need to take a moment and look at some of the opportunities and options that are out there, knowing that not every one of them is going to be gold for them, but if they find just one piece of gold that could change their whole life and their whole perspective on travel. I mean, that's what it's all about, is helping people find those little gold nuggets.
Yeah, certainly many things for many people to do. And some people have this idea, though, of like, I don't deserve this, or this just isn't for me. Oh, travel is only a rich person thing. I've heard some of that from people before, which is weird.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that have that mindset that they feel that they're stuck in a in a place where that they can't get out of, and that they're just that it'll never be for them, that it's for other people, that they don't deserve it. And I think if you can find ways to start looking at those situations and being like, I do deserve it. I can travel. And maybe you're not going to travel tomorrow or next week or next month, but if you start today thinking, I love to travel, I'm going to travel, set a place where you want to go to, and then start trying to figure out how to get there. If you keep saying, I'll never get to Ireland, I'll never get to Ireland, you'll never get to Ireland. If you say,
Yeah.
one day I'm going to get to Ireland, and you say that enough, the pieces will start to come into play of how you actually get yourself there. And these travel hacks.
I often hear from people, hey, Justin, why do you criticize Dave Ramsey so much? What he's saying is really not accurate. But I often hear many of Dave Ramsey's talking points in real life from people who talk about not having money. Oh, I can't get ahead. Travel's too expensive. And then I give them some of this information that we've talked about, and then I'll hear some of Dave Ramsey's talking points. So, what do you have to say about Dave Ramsey's perspectives on credit?
So one of the things that he says all the time is that like basically all credit is bad. You shouldn't have any credit. And that's like saying you should never have dessert, or you should never treat yourself to the movies, or you should never go out and buy a new outfit. Because if you buy one, then you'll buy two, then you'll buy three, then you'll buy four. If you eat one candy bar, you'll eat two candy bars, you'll eat three candy bars. You can be responsible and enjoy a candy bar, right? And it's the same thing with credit. You can be responsible and get the benefits of using credit as long as you pay it off every month. So just saying across the board that everything about something is bad is not, to me, that's not educating people in a way that's responsible, or in a way that helps them to actually reach their life goals, right? So I don't necessarily know that he's helping them figure out how to reach every goal. He's just so focused on being completely debt free. And so I don't like the fact that he's just so across the board, you can't ever use credit.
Yeah, we're paying our balances in full. We're not overspending. We're not paying interest. So if we can use credit well, then what's the problem of that? He'll say, oh, well, look at this and that study, and people spend more when they use plastic. But that's not going to be all people. and people will still use debit cards and spend more as well. Or people I've seen, they pay with cash at a cash register and they'll have change and they just throw the change in a random bin. So when I'm swiping credit, I'm not just rounding up my transaction. So
Right,
there are
right, exactly.
some things even people using cash and debit are doing that I wouldn't do because I'm using plastic.
Right. I agree 100%.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to go out there and say just because some people engage in drunk driving or abuse alcohol that everybody should abstain from alcohol or all alcohol is bad, but that's often what Dave is doing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, one thing he said that was interesting is we've studied millionaires and we've chatted with millionaires and asked you, have you ever gotten rich because of miles and points? Not one millionaire said that, so you shouldn't bother. I was
Well,
like, what?
yeah, but did you ask them, do they get rich using other people's money? Because that's
Yep.
the big thing about being a millionaire. That's the big joke. OPM. We get rich using OPM.
Yeah.
What's that? Other people's money. Well, that's what we're doing. We're using the bank's quote unquote money to get points and travel and then giving them their money back every month. I mean, we're doing the same thing, just different.
Yeah, we have lots of options, that's for sure. So when the good deals come up, we have the capital to go ahead and pounce rather than just using
Hmm.
our own cash. We just see opportunities for leverage, so why not take them? As long as you're being responsible, as long as you're being disciplined, I don't think that's too much of an ask. Now, there are some people that can't handle credit, and there are some people that have gotten into debt, unfortunately, so maybe they shouldn't play the game. But just to say that nobody at all should play the game, or he's saying, oh, it's like going to Chuck E. Cheese and you're spending $20 and you get a dollar sticky hand prize. And that's exactly what Miles and Points is like.
Yeah, but you know what? That little, have you ever seen the look on a kid's face when they get that little sticky hand toy? And that's where the value is in that transaction. The value isn't in getting the little sticky thing. The value's in watching your kids have a great time. And so, it's kind of the same thing using the credit to have a great time. We're getting a great time.
Yeah, and we're getting
So,
better rewards than just a sticky hand when you're talking about
right,
business class
exactly.
flights and hotel
Exactly.
nights
We
and
are.
much more.
Exactly. Exactly.
On spending that we're just doing anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, why not take the bonus? So yeah, Dave Ramsey debunked once again. Say like, oh Justin, but you're not his audience. Well, like, okay, could you make accurate statements for everyone? Is that a possibility? Like, I'm willing to say, hey, don't use credit if you can't be disciplined, but he's not willing to say, hey, credit can actually be a good thing if you are.
And like I have to set process, which I think is a good thing that you share too. You share some of your processes and procedures of how you go in and like every, every couple of weeks you're going in and checking your cards and
Yep.
and you work that into the time. But it does take discipline for sure.
Yeah, how's that process been for you maintaining these accounts? Because some people have this idea of, oh, I don't want to open multiple accounts. It sounds like a lot to manage.
Well, if you keep your card, well, I am keeping my cards within two families right now, right? So I lie, three families.
Ooh.
So I have Chase, I have American Express, and I have some Barclays. So they're all under the same account. So really, I've only gone into three portals to check mine. But I'm very process oriented. So I have a checklist that comes up on my computer once a month and says, go check this account, check this, log in here. And so I feel as though when I create a process for things, it's easy to maintain and manage. And again, it only takes me about 10 minutes a month to go ahead and check my accounts.
Yeah, is it usually maybe in the evening you do it or in the morning? Or are you multitasking?
Well, I set it up to do it first thing in the morning. So I do all of my point activities first thing in the morning when I get up. So like some people, they'll sit and have coffee and do a crossword puzzle. I sit and have my morning drink and I go through what I need to look at for my travel points for the
Boot
day.
up the My Vegas phone farm.
Yes, boot up the phone farm. Yeah. Yeah. But so I do it first thing in the morning. That way I don't run out of time at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I often tell people, like, do what works for you as long as it gets done. Not everybody's going to do it the same way. Some people use notebooks to keep track of stuff. I use
Hmm.
spreadsheets and Evernote, for instance. That makes it easier for me.
And the other thing is people are willing to share what forms and things they've created
Yep.
too. So it's not even like, don't think you have to recreate the wheel. if you want a form that does something, ask some people that you've met and say, hey, do you have a tracking form that you use? Do you have an app on your phone that you use? And people will share and tell you what apps are working for them and what apps didn't work for them.
Any
So
challenges so far since starting with this?
I did make some mistakes because I got over anxious and I didn't know what the 524 rule was. And that is that Chase, if you want to get Chase cards, they won't approve you if you have more than 5 credit cards in the last 24 months, not just with them, but with anybody.
Yeah,
So I
5 or
didn't
more on the personal side. Yep.
yeah, so I didn't understand that rule and I got overexcited because I was on a website that I was on American Airlines website checking points and stuff, and this little pop-up came up and it's like, oh, get your Citibank card, get, 25,000 miles. And I got like overexcited and I jumped the gun and I got it and it used up one of my spots that I would,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
which I'm kicking myself in the pants for right now. But that's one of the challenges that I have is that I got too excited in the beginning and I need to rein back my excitement because as much as I know, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And I've gotten better at checking in with you and the other members of the group before I do something. So
Yeah.
that's been a challenge for me is like I my friends call me the jumper and that is because if I get excited about something, I like jump right in and ask questions later. And so that sometimes bites me in the butt. And then I do have some social anxiety challenges that I deal with. So in the very beginning, when I was going into the Weiss grocery store to buy a gift card, and they would ask me questions because they asked, and I don't know if it's because I'm older,
Oh,
but I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think
You're
I
you're
look
getting
like I'm older,
scammed by the alleged
but they
IRS
asked
or
me,
whatever.
yeah,
All
yeah.
fraud, all
So
fraud.
because of my social anxiety, I never shared this with you. Because of my social anxiety and the fact that I didn't like the fact that they were asking me questions, I would go and I'd get a 99-cent box of cake mix, the funfetti cake mix for 99 cents. And I would go up to the customer service thing and I was like, oh, I'm buying this birthday gift card. Can I buy this cake with it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could
Just to get rid of my social anxieties. But I only had to do that the first couple of times, and then I was like, all right, this doesn't matter. Or the first time my social anxiety kicked in when I went to do my first money order purchase. So I bought a gift card at Staples, just one. It was when I very first got started. I went and I bought one gift card at Staples for $200, and then on my way back home, I stopped at the Wise to buy a money order with it. And I had never done that before. And I walk up to the counter and I'm like, I'd like to buy a money order. And she says, you need to put in the PIN. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, oh my God. I was like,
I said, oh,
oh
the
my
last
goodness.
four, the
Oh
last
my
four, the last four.
God. So I ran out to my car and I reached out to you and I was like all beside myself. I'm like, oh my God, they asked me for the PIN number. And you're like, Tammy, it's the last 4 digits. I was like, oh my God. But then I pulled myself together and went back in. So if anything else, it's like helping me stretch out of those social anxiety situations that I have where I'm like worried that I'm going to do something. My big social anxiety is that I'm going to do something wrong in a social situation.
Yeah.
And so it's helping me to overcome that because the worst that happens is you go back out to your car and you call and you say, hey, I think I screwed this up. How do I fix it? And then
Yeah.
somebody helps you fix it. So,
Yeah, I'm usually recommend being upfront with the cashiers and saying things like, "Oh, I'm here to purchase this gift card because of this promotion or because I want to earn credit card rewards." And I think it makes the situation a lot easier because if you just go up there and buy it, they're thinking like, "Oh, are you getting scammed or what's going on?" You see these signs all over the gift card rack and in the store, victim, blah blah blah, scam.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so even like CVS, you have to hit a button that says accept when you're making the purchase to say that you're buying it for yourself, it's personal use, whatever. Because yeah, unfortunately, I get calls every so often, and people are impersonating my electric company or a lot of other weird phone calls that I mostly don't answer. So it makes it a little bit more
yeah.
difficult for us. Only if they could do what we're doing instead of trying to scam people.
I say that all the time. It's like they invested half the time that they spend trying to figure out ways to cheat people and invested that time in doing something good. Imagine what an amazing world we would have.
Yep.
you know?
It's another question from
Yeah.
listener Eliza. Any other advice for people who are just starting in Miles and Points?
Take baby steps, find a trusted mentor like Justin and listen to their advice. Uh, don't shy away from business cards because I think a lot of people think that they don't qualify for business cards. And then someone at the meeting said, uh, have you ever sold on eBay? Have you ever sold on Etsy? Did you ever
Yep.
make crafts and sell them at a craft store? Did you walk your neighbor's dog and they gave you $10? Those kinds of things. So don't shy away from business cards because that's where a lot of the big bonus points are. Um, and don't spend more than what you can cover um, to pay off every month.
Yeah. Yeah, all
Yeah.
all good. Any trips coming up? Any other plans where you're using your Miles and Points or deals?
Oh my gosh, Justin, I have so many trips. So I'm leaving for London on in the first week of August, and I'm using points for the pre-hotel stay and the post-hotel stay. I'm doing a cruise in September. That came from some other free stuff, not the Las Vegas thing, but it was from another casino, like going there in person. So I'm doing that, and then going to the Greece, and
Good, good. And
so
this
much
is this
travel.
is definitely going to reduce the cost for you on all this.
It does, absolutely. Yes.
And a lot more to come. So how was it adding multiple cards? Some people are resistant to like, oh, adding multiple cards, I don't know.
It wasn't as complicated as I thought once I got started. And again, it just comes down to I use an app on my phone to track all of them, and I just when I get a new card, I just put it into my app, and it does a lot of. There's apps that do a lot of it for you.
Travel
You
Freely
know
was that one?
that yes, I yep, that's my favorite.
All
So
right.
it tracks everything for me, including like when my renewals are due so that I can decide ahead of time, do I want to renew this card or don't I? Like it takes a lot of the guessing out of it.
Yep. Yeah, and it's helpful to keep organized with the dates, know what to expect when the annual fee is going to come up, or wait a second, when did I sign up for this card? Because there's a bank rule that I could only get cards every 60, 90 days, or I have to wait 90 days between the same card in some cases. So it's better than doing the archaeological dig and having to go back through emails or download your credit report, right? It's
Yeah, for
just
sure.
preventative things.
Yeah, for sure. All I know is like this hobby has been so good for me, and because I've had hobbies before, and I feel like this is the first hobby that actually makes me money and is in something that I'm passionate about, which is travel.
Good. So a good fit. All right. Anything else you'd like to add as we get towards the end here?
I just want to thank you for being so amazing and so willing to share all of the education that you do. I mean, it takes a special person to be able to do that. And I told you yesterday, you have such amazing patience with those of us that are learning. And I just appreciate you. And I appreciate what you've done for the community. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. And we'll meet later in Pittsburgh as we're going to be going to a meetup out there as well.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Looking forward to that.
Yep. So even if you're not in the Willow Grove, Pennsylvania area, you'll see that there are meetups throughout the country. Maybe you have a local group. Maybe you can start a local group listener. So lots of opportunities, lots of resources out there. All right. Thank you for the kind words and coming on today. So we'll have our future meetups in Willow Grove, PA. So if listeners are interested, you can go to meetup.com/Philly miles and points, and hopefully we see you there. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for future episodes. Visit hurdygurdytravel.com to contact me, find me on social media, read select episode transcripts, and schedule a free consultation. Support the show through Subscribestar, referral links, and buying from my eBay store. Find the show on many podcast platforms and YouTube, where you can find bonus videos. Supporting me on Subscribestar will give you special perks, including a custom podcast episode, questions answered by upcoming guests, and monthly private one-on-one conversations delving into more advanced topics I don't openly discuss at length in podcast episodes. Visit meetup.com/Philly miles and points to learn about Greater Philadelphia Travel Credit Miles and Points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. I hope to see you in person at a future event. Find a link in the show notes. I'll be speaking at the upcoming conference Zorkfest, which will include social events and sessions educating about miles, points, and gambling. Find more information at zorkfest.com. That's ZORKFEST.com. Listen to my other podcast, the Stoic Solutions Podcast, found at stoicsolutionspodcast.com. That's STOIC solutionspodcast.com. My podcast guests and I offer practical wisdom for everyday life inspired by the ancient tradition of Stoic philosophy from Greece and Rome. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.